So I think I may have just found a cheat code for our 4Runners, Tacomas, and FJ Cruisers. Let me explain. So we all want a ride that handles better, accelerates faster, brakes more effectively, and one that boasts efficiency and most importantly, off-road capability. But here's the catch. Every mod often feels like a compromise. We swap one benefit for another. I feel like I'm always sacrificing efficiency and some handling characteristics just to make slight gains in off-road performance. But I may have just found a wheel out there that gives us the best of both worlds. A wheel that is not only lighter than OEM, but also performs better and looks way sharper than our stock Toyota wheels. Stick around because in this video, I'm gonna dive into a brand new release from SSW, which might just be the perfect wheel for our 4Runners, Tacomas, and FJ Cruisers. So I've definitely noticed a big change in my vehicle's performance since I started modifying it. Over the years with every mod, I just kept adding more and more weight to the vehicle. Eventually I reached a point where all this weight started to affect my vehicle's performance. And I really started to begin to question, maybe less is actually more in some ways. Since then, I've really started to try and home in on what I need versus what I want. Don't get me wrong, I love the look of, big aggressive MT tires with beadlock wheels, but these are also very heavy and basically underperform in every scenario besides mud and heavy rock crawling. So I started looking into switching my heavy tires and wheels, and eventually I found myself chatting with the kind folks over at SSW. They informed me they were about to release a brand new lightweight off-road wheel that is designed specifically for our Toyota vehicles like the 4Runner, Tacoma, FJ Cruiser, and even other vehicles. Once I discovered the weight, design, bolt pattern, bore, offset, etc., I knew these wheels ticked off all the boxes for my Toyota. So let's jump into all the benefits of these wheels. We'll look at the specs, the fitment on the vehicle, options, and why they might just be the perfect fit for maybe your build as well. So without further ado, let's jump into the brand new SSW Nova wheels. They are aluminum and even the machine silver is coated to prevent oxidization and any maintenance. Despite their low weight, they do maintain a load rating of 2,500 pounds each, which is typical for a wheel like this. So these wheels do look absolutely beautiful. I went with the machine finish, but they also come in a matte black and a bronze color. The bronze is kind of a darker bronze, but both of those versions have a metallic ring that kind of goes around here, which I think is a nice addition, and it definitely catches the eye and adds some depth to the wheel. So these wheels do have a deeper dish look to them with an offset of -25. This is going to give your vehicle a wider stance without the need for something like wheel spacers, which would add extra weight and also another spot for potential failure. They also have this neat concave design here where the lugs go, which I think is really nice. I absolutely love the look of that. The finish is definitely sharp. That center cap here does have kind of a really shiny look to it, so I'm not too sure how that will hold up over time, with dirt, sand, mud, but I will eventually do a follow-up video for that. The matte black and bronze would not have any issues there, I don't think. All right, let's jump into the specs and then I'll show you what these wheels look like on the 4Runner. So for specs, these wheels are light. The stock OEM wheels for the 4Runner that I have for the TRD Pro, for the TRD Off-Road are 25 pounds each, and they're 29 pounds each for the SR5. And for the Limited, they're 40 pounds each. So the SSW Novas only weigh 21 pounds each, so they're much lighter. They're a wider wheel with more offset, and they're still lighter than OEM. The aftermarket Icon wheels that these are replacing actually weighed 30 pounds, so this is a big decrease. And why is this important to me? Well, unsprung weight can make a huge difference in the way that our vehicles handle and perform. What is unsprung weight? Unsprung weight is basically the weight which isn't being supported by our vehicle's suspension. So basically the tires, the brakes, and the wheels. Every type of performance race vehicle aims to decrease unsprung weight because there are huge advantages to having a lower unsprung weight. Lower unsprung weight means that our suspension can basically maintain contact with the ground more effectively over rough surfaces. Your suspension can basically move up and down if there's less weight at the end. Also, our acceleration and braking will be improved with less weight to, turn over to speed up and also to brake to slow down. Now, these wheels are specifically designed for our Toyotas. So they are 17 inches tall and 9 inches wide. Being that they're 17-inch wheels, they will provide enough clearance for our brake calipers and also allow us to put rubber on that we can air down if needed. They're also, yeah, 9 inches wide. So they will work with your factory Toyota size wheels, like a 265 7017, but they'll look better and perform better with a 285 7017. I will say, if you're curious what your tires can do for width, they will specify online. So just look up your tire, all the specs for that particular tire, and it will tell you how wide you can go. So these wheels are also the correct bolt pattern, which is a 6 by 139.7. The bore size, which is right here, is 106.1. So for the Toyota 4Runner, FJ Cruiser, Tacoma, these are hub centric, which means they will perfectly align onto our hubs. Now these wheels do have a -25 offset, so they will have a much wider stance than your stock wheels. These wheels will stick out about 1.5 inches more than your OEM wheels. If you're running stock size tires, you will likely just have to do a bit of trimming on your vehicle and or remove the mud flaps. If you want to run bigger tires, you will need to do more cutting and modify maybe like the body mount. If you aren't crazy about having a wider stance, I'd suggest grabbing the SSW Dakar wheels. They have 0 offset, so it'll give you a wider stance, but they won't stick out as much, so you won't have to do as much modifications, and those are a really nice looking wheel. All right, let's get these on the 4Runner, and then I'll show you what they look like. We'll see the stance on the vehicle, and we'll just kind of compress the suspension and see how they fit. All right, guys, so I got the SSW Nova wheels now mounted on the 4Runner. I am super stoked with how these look. Definitely an aggressive look, but it's not overkill. On the front, it does stick out just a little bit past the fender. You know, the tops of the treads is almost equal with the fender, and then the sides of the wheel just kind of protrudes a little bit. These are 285 7017 tires. These are actually the Toyo Open Country AT3s. They're also a super lightweight tire. So if you're looking for a lightweight tire to go with these lightweight wheels, I'd recommend these. So yeah, just going back to the stance here. So the front, we do have a little bit of poke on the front. On the back, we have a bit more poke. That's just the way the 4Runners are. The front wheels sit in just a little bit further. I don't see any fitment issues. When I look at the body mount, maybe when I compress it, which we'll do in a little bit here, we might see that it could contact where the body mount is. I'm not too sure about that. So far, it's not having any issues with clearing the fenders and that. I do have a Viper cut on the front here, so maybe I've kind of remedied any sort of issue that I'd have there on the front because of that. But yeah, really impressed with the stance here. Really like the aggressive look of these wheels. All right, let's take the vehicle out now and let's flex the suspension, and we'll get a better idea of where these could contact and how they'll kind of tuck into the fenders. All right, so even with 285 7017s in the rear, fully flexed out, you can see these wheels do tuck up under the fender quite nicely. There is lots of clearance there. You could even go with a larger tire and probably not have too many issues. Definitely not having any issues with 285 7017s. You may need to remove the mud flaps. All right, so we're fully flexed kind of in the front here. I do have the sway bar on, so it will only go up so high. You can see that the wheels do tuck under the fender there as well. This is with the wheel turned, but with them straight, fully flexed and up, I don't think you'd have any issues with it contacting that fender. Coming underneath, you can see the body mount there. Now I do have 285 7017s and a body mount chop. There is a lot of room there. So if you had 265 7017s, you might be okay, but I can't guarantee that. Now driving around town, you'd probably be okay, but flexing out and turning the wheel off-road, you might get some rubbing. All right, guys, I think that sums it up for the SSW Nova wheels. I'm super stoked to have these on my vehicle. They are a performance wheel, and I'm all about performance these days. I think they're a great wheel for the weekend warrior or an overland build like mine. If you're really into, say, rock crawling, SSW has a bunch of different options on their website for those types of builds. Check out their beadlock wheels or the Dakar Evos. SSW is a great company to deal with. They're based out of California, and they have a lot of neat wheels online, a lot of cool designs. If you guys found this video useful, please like and subscribe. I'm going to come up with a lot more videos, and I do always appreciate your guys' support. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye now.